Turns out we got canceled by YouTube. Strauss Zelnick thinks the games industry needs to be charging us by the hour to play their games. Then we get into a discussion about ethics in the games industry, and we also have a review of 9 Years of Shadow for the Nintendo Switch.
I'm Nick, and if dresses can make you immune to lava, we'd have a lot more male seamstresses.
Hi, I'm Josh, and making a video game, much like making kids or pancakes, first one's just practice.
And I'm Andy. This is Video Game Tango. We're back, and with a
back again.
We're here with a weird episode. Thanks, Josh, for making it weird. We're here with a kind of a weird episode of the podcast. We have some like bizarrely serious topics to talk
Grab
about.
a pitchfork.
More on the podcasting side than the gaming side this week. Stick around because I think it's going to be really important, especially we're setting a precedence going forward with how we review games in certain circumstances. So we'll get to that later in the show. For now, I want to talk a little bit backstage, Video Game Tango. We have been behind the curtain, as it were. We have been removed from the Google Preferred section of YouTube, which is something that we gained over time, amassing an audience, putting out regular videos, having regular content, not getting copyright strikes, and following all of the YouTube guidelines and terms of service. And that allows us to post long-form videos. I don't even know how long of a video we can post without being in Google Preferred anymore. That's something that I was looking up pre-podcast, and I have not found any information on. Fortunately, we have posted a podcast since, a full-length podcast, a little over an hour. So I know we can do at least an hour and 6 minutes. So I think we'll be comfortable there. I don't know what that limits to, unfortunately. Like the best thing I could find on Reddit about length of video is some people were down to 10 minutes and some people were up to an hour.
So for people other than me, because I clearly know what this is, what is Google Preferred and what happens when we're not on it?
Thank you. I was just about to ask.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was in the middle.
How did we lose it? Damn it!
That's kind of what I was in the middle of describing. So, preferred just means that you have enough channel history that you are now given. So normally you can only upload 10 minutes of content to YouTube with a new profile. So
okay,
yeah. So it allows us to upload more consistent content. Now, I was already Google Preferred. Video Game Tango is technically a brand of The Oleander, my old YouTube channel. So it's really complex and convoluted, but we are a brand channel that I created from an old channel. And being a brand channel, we got grandfathered into the Google Preferred because I used to be a YouTube partner. YouTube partnership gave me even additional extra things, but Video Game Tango is Google Preferred. And that means that we just follow all the rules and all the guidelines, and we have set a good precedence for doing so, and we get advanced features. Some of those advanced features were you get higher daily limits for live streams, shorts, and video uploads. You can embed live streams, you can pin comments, and add external links to your video descriptions, which is something that we've been utilizing to go to our website, which I got approval from Google to put into our video description.
Okay.
It's also something that we've used to link to in the past to articles that I've considered really important. Especially in most of the attribution goes to like other YouTube channels. Sometimes we use other YouTube channels' content to show in the live stream or
like
even the
footage
VOD.
when we're talking about a game or something.
Something that we don't have our own footage of. We have used other creators' footage of in the past. And I always try to now. Fortunately, inside YouTube, those are inside embedded links, not an external link. So there's no problem there. We can still do proper attribution to the people that deserve it. But it does mean that we can no longer link to our site. And one of the biggest places that our site was linked to was YouTube. That's where we were getting a lot of our click-through from. We get a significant portion from Google searches also, but it does mean that we can't link to our own website that is Google approved and does. I've got all the page bots that are required to make that happen. So it means we've lost a little bit in that regard. The main thing is, though, is without being preferred, we no longer show up in the algorithm really at all. So it's like a channel just starting out. We are effectively now in the you can now be discovered phase.
Gotcha.
So that's going to be the biggest impact that not being on the preferred program has for us. Is we have recently started seeing some real momentum in getting views on our videos. We were seeing, previous in like just a few months ago, 30 views on a video felt good. Mm-hmm. We were getting to the point where it was regularly in the several hundreds to even sometimes several thousands of views per video. YouTube has been by far and large our biggest growth. Like you can see the growth over time very granularly. Whereas the audio podcast, it continues to grow, but it's in a much slower pace because the algorithm isn't there like YouTube has. So discovery is easier on YouTube than it is the audio podcast, except for now that we're not on Google Preferred. What that means for us is even if you are subscribed to us, there is a good chance that we will not show up in your YouTube subscriptions. We'll still probably show up in YouTube Home if you are logged in, but that's really a crapshoot. That's really random. That's based on what you have been watching. So if you've been watching content similar to ours, we still may show up in Home, but we may not show up in your subscription box. So unless you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on, it's likely that there won't be any visibility for our podcast at all, even for subscribers for the time being. Now, I am actively working to fix this, but I've already been shut down once. So ID verification was needed. I've done ID verification before, but they wanted ID verification again. So I shared with YouTube a photo of my license, of my Oregon driver's license, which is valid ID according to their system, and they denied it right away. So the only thing is like YouTube is really vague in all of this stuff. Yeah, it'll tell you refer to our guidelines, and it will give you the entire terms of service. What did we do wrong? Where did we miss the mark?
Could you fucking highlight it or something? Like what the shit?
It's all automated.
Yeah, it's 100%
behind it.
There is no person
because they're all fucking riding bikes and shit around that campus,
around the
sitting in
Google campus.
beanbag chairs. No one there can pick up a fucking phone or answer an email.
Hey, listen, let's get back on preferred, Josh.
Sorry, I'm just. Well, they took it away.
Yeah, no,
sorry.
That doesn't have any impact. Some things that I've thought about is, we brought up the fact that we vape occasionally, but that actually almost never happens for the recorded podcast. So you guys almost never see us on YouTube vaping, but we definitely do it during our live stream. Mm-hmm. I don't think that has anything to do with it because there are just straight up like drug YouTube channels that are monetized. Yeah. We don't have any copyright strikes or copyright claims that have hit strike on YouTube. They have a 3-strike system. 3 strikes are out. We have never gotten a strike. We have used copyrighted content previously, but that has been okayed by the copyright holders, and I've been diligent at making sure that happens. If we get a copyright claim, I've always gone to the claimant to see if we can use that, and then later on they'll pull the claim from our video. And while we may not be able to monetize the video is fine, and it holds no bearing on the legitimacy of our channel.
Yeah.
We've been like I would say very consistent on that front with making sure we don't use anything that's copyrighted.
Yeah.
Only playing a few seconds of music. 'Cause, like we've been very good about that.
Yeah, well, we're not trying to steal people's stuff.
Yeah, no, we
have no intention.
Never our intent. And even when we use somebody else's game footage, we put attribution.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have any problems there. I think this is honestly kind of a fluke. I was wondering if it was maybe foul language, but honestly, during the podcast proper, I don't think we curse as much as we do on our Twitch live stream. And I don't think it's excessive either. We may emphasize with an F word or something like that every now and then, but
we are mature content.
I don't flag us as such.
Yeah, it been exactly advertised as such, and I don't feel like we've gone beyond the pale with anything said. Like, I mean,
And if you compare us to other video podcasters, I'd say there are video podcasters that swear a lot more than we do and use excessive vulgar language compared to us. So I don't think it's that. So I don't know exactly what's going on. Still working on getting back into the Google Preferred. But for now, I kind of wanted to throw out a call to arms to you guys, our listeners, our viewers. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, now would be the perfect time to do it.
you
So
have to search for it directly, apparently.
youtube.com/@videogametango. That's the @ symbol videogametango. So check that out. If you're a subscriber already, just make sure that you click on our, you actually go to our channel and check, make sure that you're up to date on our videos, because you might not be. And if you like our content, I just ask that maybe sometime this week, next week, just, you've got a minute, head over to our YouTube channel, watch a few minutes of a video, comment, see if it's something that you like. Maybe you're from the audio podcast only, and maybe you'll get a little bit more in the video podcast, because we have additional content in there. While you're listening to this, we're usually playing content from a game that we're discussing or a trailer that we're discussing. So there's usually additional content that you do get from the YouTube channel. So check that out. See if it's right for you. If it's not, great. I'm really happy that you checked out our YouTube channel at all. If you want to be extra cool, make sure you subscribe. If you want to be extra cool, comment. Especially if it's like specific to a video. Like if you had comments that you wanted to leave on last week's Video Game Tango and you would like to have any kind of discussion with us, I check the comments every single day. I go to work, and on my break, I open up YouTube Studio. I check to see if we have new comments. I check to see if we have new subscribers. I even check out their channels in case it's something that I'm interested in and that might be valid to Video Game Tango. So just that said, if you could at some time check out the YouTube channel, we'd all really appreciate it. Meanwhile, we are trying to get back into YouTube's good graces. Just know that you may not, if you are a regular subscriber, and I'm sorry, you may not get this, but if you are a regular subscriber, it's not like we didn't fall off. We're not stopping. We're going to continue to go as normal.
We're not avoiding you.
100%. But you may not see us in your sub box. So I'm sorry, guys.
Click that bell.
Click that bell. I know, dude. It
hurts to say it out loud. I feel like my spleen just fell out. But
yeah,
that's the most assured way you're going to continue to see us on.
But think of it as the bell on the cute little tango dog that you're clicking to save him. Save the tango dog.
So yeah, just a little bit behind the scenes of why you may not have seen us in a little bit is because our last week's video, despite my clickbait ass title and my clickbait thumbnail and the work that I put into making sure that I was using popular keywords, because like when I go through keywords, I don't just pick them at random. I take the content of our show.
I told him every week, just put Charles Barkley in there. But
I put them through Google Trends to see if they are being searched for before they go in as keywords. So if I can find a better keyword to use than World of Warcraft, say Blizzard is, then I use that as one of my top 5 keywords. So I like the uploading to YouTube is a laborious practice. And all that said and done, our last YouTube video on BlizzCon coverage with in a BlizzCon where Chris Metzen is back, got 0 views.
That should have been one of our bigger videos.
We are at 5 days and 19 hours. We have 0 views on that video.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we've got like 110 audio listeners. So I would have expected that video to honestly be at least 500 plus viewers for our YouTube channel. Yep. Didn't happen. So
that's not following regular trends. Like
it's not. No. So it's not just that video. Every video has suffered for the last few releases. Like I'm talking sub 10 per video for the last 3, which is definitely not our trend. Our trend was clearly upward.
Last thing I want to say is that if you've been following YouTube at all over the last handful of years, and you watch indie creators of any kind of content, medieval knitting, fucking whatever, that small channels have next to no ammo to contend with problems like these. This has just become a massive problem, and there's so little we can do other than use their own internal repeal system and keep your fingers crossed and your toes and your eyebrows that you get blessed by the RNG gods that it works.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can comment on our videos and watch them and these kinds of things, Andy might be able to get into a situation where he can show that we have viewers actively engaging with us. We're not bots. We're not here to break TOS, and we're not trying to do anything wonky. And we have people who care about us and that want to see our content. And that's what we mean by, like, you know, just any little thing you can do greater than the sum of its parts, right?
Yeah.
It'll help out more than you think.
It absolutely does. Because one of the things that they're looking for is channel history. So I have 2 opportunities. I've used one to submit my ID. That was unsuccessful. I'm going through every little process that I can make sure that I tidy up, make sure my name is correct in all of my, because like I said, this is a brand channel based on another channel. So I'm going through and making sure that my full name is in everything, that I don't use my shortened name Andy, because I'm Andrew. I'm meticulously before I try submitting another one, because I have one more chance. They give you 2 chances to submit that ID to fix your channel right away. I have one more. Yeah, in the email, it literally says your ID verification was unsuccessful. You have one more opportunity to try again to get access to advanced YouTube features. So I will be attempting that again, but it may literally be up to you guys to get us back into the good graces of YouTube, to show that we have good interaction with people, especially in our comments, or we have interaction with the like button or the dislike button. For dislike the video for all I care. It's interaction. It's
Just interact.
as far as metrics go. Disliking something does not hurt you on the algorithm for YouTube.
Yeah.
Dislike it if you want to. I'd much prefer you liked it. But you know, any interaction
we're
with our,
uglier than
with our
you
channel.
thought when you first heard us. You know, if you think we say funny things, you should see how we look. Come on over to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. And also, like, if you watch a YouTube channel regularly, you might check the Twitch channel, because, like, if your favorite thing is all of our weird tangents that we happen to go on during news coverage, that's 100% of the content of our Twitch.
You're in for a treat.
Yeah. So, you know, I can't post external links anymore, but head on over to twitch.tv/videogametango if you're into that. All that said, I don't want to stick on this subject for too long, because it's, you know, it's something that I've got to deal with. But yeah, if you could interact with the channel, that would be, I would love you forever.
On to the news.
On to the news. Let's go to Josh.
What is grinding your gears, sir?
I want to talk about algorithms.
It's true.
So over this last week, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, he's introduced the idea that video games are too cheap. They are not making enough money for the publishers, and they don't like that. Now he's come up with an idea. He thinks Zelnick. He thinks it's great. This is outlined. He's outlined an algorithm that's calculated a game's cost by considering the per hour value multiplied by the anticipated play hours, along with the perceived value of ownership for the customer.
Perceived value of ownership.
Perceived,
that's a quantitative
right?
measure for sure.
The algorithm is the value of the expected entertainment usage, which is to say that the per hour value times the number of expected hours plus the terminal value perceived by the customer in ownership. So, for example, a game that is, say, like Grand Theft Auto Online, that's played like endlessly by some people for a decade. Well, that game should cost your firstborn child or a brick of gold or your colon. To be, according to Zelnick, it's $65 or $70 or the $100 Ghetto Plus Edition, Gangster's Paradise Edition. that's not enough. The endless amount of shark card purchases, that's not fucking enough. The endless amount of updates and vehicle like all this, that's not enough. The fact that I bought the game on 3 different goddamn consoles, that's not goddamn enough. I've very rarely read a story outside of something like political news or something like that has made me this angry. This is on the precedence of like Fred Meyers charging me a fucking convenience fee for getting cash back. Don't fucking offer it. Just don't offer it. Like that's boy howdy. So now there is however a little bit of a bright spot in this. And that is the simple fact that, let me find it here, publishers do not have direct control over setting retail prices, implying there is a whole heap of challenges to be able to get to the Zelnick fuck my ass model. But like the simple fact that like last week I was talking about how excited I was to see the GTA 6 trailer and the prospect of playing this. Honestly, I'm thinking about going GTA on Zelnick. Now, obviously, I don't condone any of that, but it's like, good Lord, man, he's the one. He's talking about being a criminal. That's what's criminal. But that's good.
Looking at it,
kid, of course, about going
Goodbye,
GTA.
YouTube preferred Jesus Christ.
Now we figured out how we became un-YouTube preferred. But like,
what he means is he's going to take Zelnick into a barber and somehow give him a longer haircut than he had when he walked in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just a quick look at some websites. It looks like total global revenue for video games, depending on whether it's mobile, PC, US, China, whatever, was down between 2 and 10% year over year in 2022. I could see some reasons for that. Like, we kind of had a worldwide pandemic that people are getting over. Everything's getting more expensive. So it's terrifying as a shareholder and as board of CEOs and shit. They're like, oh no, profit's down. What do we do? Well, you don't just raise prices. Like, I guess you can, but this is the point where like free market actually starts to come into play. People are already freaking out about games being $70, $80 this year and last year. Like, if you start making a metric of how we're going to price our games
value,
with these entirely qualitative factors, it's like, oh, we perceive the value of this game to be $150. Well, no one's going to buy your game. Like, don't make that risk. That is also compiled with something I brought it before, not to be an apologist, but like a legitimate problem is that you have thousands of employees and hundreds of millions of dollars spent on these games, and the price like really hasn't changed all that much in 10, 20 years.
I don't want to play devil's advocate here, but
they're able to do that because the profit per copy, I'm guessing, is enough due to the quantity of games they sell that they're making more and more money, right? There's $100 billion in revenue like in a year in the last couple of years for video games. So it's not like they're not making money. But yeah, like you can't make up a metric, pull it out of your ass. Perceived value. What is that? Who's perceived value? Santa Claus?
I've been a member of management for a long time, and perceived value is something that higher ups love to throw around.
Oh yeah,
it is manager jargon.
It's like, synergistic dynamics.
It is that kind of absolute garbage. I've been to so many manager summits where that's how they speak. They don't use the word "the" in between words. It is a string of gobbledygook nonsense that they love to throw around. So I'm not surprised it's coming from C-suite.
That seems like a terrifying precedence to set to me. I don't know, like,
especially because we live in a world where like these ideas are guffawed at, and then we fight them, and then they're real. Like, horse armor was something we laughed at back when Bethesda put out a $5 fucking horse armor for a single player game. Now it's ruined the entire video game fucking sphere.
Yeah.
Right.
They proved
So-
that model works.
We should take this stuff lightly.
Yeah, and also I wasn't going to. So this was going to be one of my articles, but I have been looking into just the massive amount of layoffs happening in the games industry right now. Last month, like at the end of last month, it was up to about 3,000. Now it's almost now it's almost 4,000. Like just this last month, it's fucking crazy. 22 hours ago, Humble Games affected by layoffs. 2 days ago, Amazon reduces games divisions by 180. 5 days ago, Digital Extremes impacted by layoffs, closing publishing division. Confirms 30 employees have been let go. 6 days ago, Kotaku staff hit by redundancies. 100 Thieves had to cut 20% of its workforce. Motorsports games to lay off up to 38 employees. This is all within a week. 1 week ago, Cryptic Studios impacted by layoffs. 2 weeks ago, Bungie affected by layoffs. Embracer Group to lay out owned Digic to lay off 35 employees. A company owned by Embracer Group.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not making enough money. We're talking about giant studios here that are returning record profits, that are using not only game sales as a sales model and a revenue model, but also in-game purchases and delving even further. You have on top of that merch, licensing, etc.
Yeah, straight up just giving me the same game that you've already released and making me buy it. Like, not making me buy it again, but presenting that at near full price. And some people, they go for it. I wait for it to go on sale, like some people want it right away, and I get that. That's absolutely cool. But enough is enough.
There is no problem with ROI in video games.
Especially when the employees are the ones being let go.
Yeah. Well, that's not. Here's the thing, though, is in 2023, layoffs are not a cost-cutting measure. They are a revenue replacement. They're no longer being used, and this is true in the retail space. This is especially the retail space, but also true in almost all parts of any industry.
It's lowering overhead, so increasing revenue.
But no, that's cost cutting.
Yeah.
What they are doing is they are actively reducing staff so they can make more revenue next year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, dude, that's fucking splitting hairs. Like you could like that's double speak.
That's the thing, though.
If you're lowering
it's about
overhead,
intent.
it's
about
cost cutting. Like that's double speak. And I see what you're saying, but it's lowering overhead to increase revenue.
You're
that's
right.
not
But this is being seen as a legitimate investment strategy. Not we have to cut costs because expenses were too high. We have to cut costs because our ROI is bad. These companies are seeing year over year returns that are higher every year. But the growth isn't where they want it to be. So in order to accumulate additional revenue, you can't call it cost cutting because even though it is, you can't call it cost cutting when all it is to make more money. It's not to reduce loss. It is to make more and to report that to your shareholders.
But you're not.
Here's an analogy. I own a company and we didn't make enough money to make a profit. And now we're in the hole. I have to fire people. Other side of the coin. I have a company. We didn't make as much money this year as I wanted to. So I'm going to fire people and say, fuck my other employees. They're going to have to pick up the slack so that next year I make even more money.
Yeah.
Those are the differences I think you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
One is literally we're in the hole in the deficit. We have to fire people because we need to balance the budget spreadsheet.
But that's not what this is.
No, this is essentially saying that our accelerated growth isn't accelerating as fast as we want it, as opposed to we're literally not making enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're seeing year over year growth.
Yeah.
Like these companies are not losing money anywhere.
And not the 3%
right.
they want. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is the growth is in the pocketbook of the board.
Yeah.
The board doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
Well, they fire people.
They fire people. They didn't make this fucking game. Like you think? I mean, it boggles the mind. It's like, well, we're rich and we need to keep getting richer, so let's fire the people who made us rich.
Yes.
Welcome to capitalism.
How does that? Like, I thought you wanted it to be sustainable.
No.
Like, listen. I just laid it out in fucking
Dude,
1 + 1 is
sustainability
2.
doesn't matter in the games industry, Josh. So here's the thing. These massive game companies already know that some of their games are going to be made at a loss. Even the massive AAA ones. They can throw out 15 massive budget games. Only one of them has to be successful. And it pays for all the rest.
Were you here when I was talking about StarCraft 2? I heard it from a semi-legit source that StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, shortly after the release of a mount in World of Warcraft, had, I believe it was, profited less than that single sparkly unicorn horse they put in World of Warcraft. So the 6 years, 7 years it took them to make StarCraft 2, that game made less money than one mount in like the first month of the mount being available for purchase. Yeah. And it's not even counting how much it's made since then. Mm-hmm. So there's no sustainability isn't a thing. Like you ask anybody in tech, how do you make more money as an employee, as a programmer or whatever? You move to a different company. Yeah. Like you do not stay with a company because how the game market works is the people with money want to take a risk and a gamble at making more money. And the people that are actually making the games just bounce around to these companies, just doing their best to get more and more pay. But none of these companies are in this for long haul. They're not trying to become the next Blizzard in the sense that Blizzard has 30, 40 years of amazing history. They want to become Blizzard because Blizzard makes a lot of money.
Yes.
So anytime like a game fails enough in a company, the company has to go under, another one just crops up. Yeah. Like another company will just appear from money people who want to take a gamble at the game industry. So there's no sense of sustainability.
That's just like, I don't know, like in the sense like stock buybacks, everybody hears that now. Yeah. 20 years ago, if your company was doing stock buybacks, that was looked as toxic. Your company was going under. That's bad, really bad. Yeah. And now they just do it to increase. Oh, well, look how much the stock has risen. Oh my God, it's so good. And it's like, that's not, again, unsustainable. This market that they have is unsustainable. As a CEO of EA shouldn't make $32 million in a year. They should maybe make $1 million a year. Is $1 million a year enough for sitting your fat ass in a comfy chair? You know, is that like, sure, maybe, stressful decisions or something. $2 million a year.
I'm fine with 10. $10
million a year. That
Silicon
seems
Valley's
fair.
Expensive. You're just barely rich at $10 million a year in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, like, I mean, like take something adequate, or like the movie studios, which the SAG-AFTRA has got done finding with here. It's like you guys, the money that they were wanting was literally 1 year's pay of one of those CEOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. And these layoffs, they're bullshit. Amazon reducing the games division by 180 people.
It has nothing to do with money.
No.
Yeah.
Well, in the sense
they can afford to keep those people.
They're in trouble.
Yeah.
Now they haven't really put out a good game yet, so there's something to be said there.
Internal politics.
But at the end of the day, like most of these companies that I talked about are multi-million, and in some cases above $1 billion a year companies.
Mobile games in 2022 made $90,000 million. That's the number. $92,000 million.
That's a lot of millions.
That's a lot of millions, right? So to pay a CEO $30 million, there's not that many companies out there that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's an ethics problem.
Yeah,
for sure. The video games industry has just gotten too fucking greedy at the end of the day. At the high end. Yeah. Nick and I were just talking on the balcony a little while ago about how while we're getting a bunch of subpar AAA games with microtransactions, season passes, every which way to spend your money and to consume your time. make sure that you spend as much time in their game as possible by creating an endless game loop.
But not by liking the game.
Oh.
But not by really liking the game.
By some cost fallacy.
And FOMO.
Yes.
And walled gardens and vendor locking.
Exactly. It's
Yes.
FOMO. Not like...
Because, listen, dude, if you didn't earn everything available in the season pass, what did you do with your time?
I played 30 hours of RimWorld this week. It's the only game I've been interested in playing because I'm telling my own goddamn story.
And you paid $40 for it.
Yeah, no, I got it on sale for 25, and I have
Also,
some.
you could put that game down for a month or a year and come back, and you will not have missed out on anything.
No, and
Right? There's no battle pass you miss, no like fucking preview anything, you know.
No, and it's a simple game. Even things like, fuck, I play Mass Effect every couple of years.
Yeah,
and it's like that's by no means a prize hog. Like it's a coherent. It's a fairly coherent story, and I fell in love with the premise and a lot of the characters. And it's one of my favorite game series ever. Does it have its weaknesses and its flaws and the things I think it should have been improved upon? Absolutely. I've bought it on every fucking console I've owned the last 10 years. And if I fucking if some other thing comes, I'll buy it again.
Yeah.
I'll buy it again because it's whatever. I love it, but there's no real money grubbing in it. There's a little bit. You pay for a little extra
I think
DLC,
what it comes down
a couple, whatever.
Is between Mass Effect 1 and the last Mass Effect, it followed the arc of the last age before games as a service took over.
Yeah.
We've had games as a service for a long time, but by the time Mass Effect kind of wrapped up, game service, they are now the norm in AAA. You just talking about the new Wonder Woman game is going to be a live service game.
Yeah, I didn't even know what the fuck that meant.
What that's calling sugar organic cane syrup, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, this is capitalism as intended.
It's terrifying.
Everything is a quick money grab. Damn the consequences, which is why I'm excited to talk about us getting free shit.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of ethics, we wanted to disclose to you guys. Nick has a review coming up very shortly.
I do
for a game that we received a review copy for, meaning that we paid nothing for this game.
Our first
review copy.
We were excited.
Being that it is our first review copy and we've never had to acknowledge this before, we want to talk to you guys real quickly about what that means going forward. And we talked at length about this previously. And we're all in agreement here as far as the review copies go. We want you guys to know that receiving a review copy or a free copy or an early copy of a game is not going to change how we review a game. Now, you don't know us, so you have to take our word for it. But what we all agree on is that we would rather sever our connections to any developers, to any publishers, and never receive another review copy of a game ever. We'd rather do that than fuck with our own ethics. So at this point, like, you do have to trust us, but as far as integrity goes.
If you've been listening to this podcast for more than a few weeks, well, at least when it comes to me, you'll know that pretty much all I do is shit on video games. We are the nerds in the truest sense that we just hate on the things that we love. Like, I will talk nonstop about the good stuff about like RimWorld and Deep Rock Galactic and Satisfactory and Against the Storm and all these indie games I've been playing recently. When it comes to anything else, like, I am the first to shit on things.
Satisfactory, the very, I said
we just talked about
season 8's up, and
it's like I'm not gonna play it until they fix multiplayer.
Yeah,
like it's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah. So if a game is not feature complete, if a game feels rushed, unpolished, if there are bugs, we're more than happy to report them. We will not be straying from our honest opinions of games, because while we try not to shit on games too much, what we do feel as a collective is that while sometimes our criticisms of games may be harsh, that they're valid criticisms, and we never want to stray from that. So I'm never going to tell you to go out and buy a turd. And our reviews really aren't for that. We don't give numerical value to our reviews either. In that, like, you know, sometimes if we're feeling a little bit forced, we might say, all in all, maybe a 7 out of 10-ish. That's just something we're pulling out of our butts. We're never going to give like a numerical review to something. A, it's reductive. B, it's not productive. And C, what we'd rather just do is talk to you about our experience with the game, explain some of its core mechanics, some of its core ideas, how it might relate to other games, how it might be similar to other media, whatever. We'd rather just give a good, solid explanation of the game, and what we liked and what we disliked about it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like trying to just sum up there. We're gonna keep reviewing games how we've been reviewing them. Because like you said, and like Andy said, we don't give numerical values. We say what we liked. The UI was good, tight controls. What we didn't like, those frame rate was pretty poor on that. Bad optimization. That could have been rethought. What changes? So we've been, I feel, very candid with the opinion. We're just gonna keep that action going forward.
I think if you're going to listen to this podcast, this YouTube video, this series, Video Game Tango for video game reviews, here's the reason why I think you should do it. In my opinion, you listen to any given reviewer because you found a reviewer that likes the kinds of things that you like, so that you can then trust their reviews are going to be things that you like. I have played way too many games. I'm old and I'm jaded. I play very specific games. I like those games. I have strong opinions. Josh has played a lot of console games. He plays a lot of big flashy games. He's got much more experience with them than I do, and he's going to give you an honest opinion of those games as someone who likes those games. The same goes with Andy with his bracket of games. Mm-hmm. So we might not all like any one given game, but you can be assured that we're way too small of a channel to be like lying about video game reviews. Yeah. And we're way too much nerds and geeks and opinionated to willfully change our opinion on something because I know I have fucking pride about like my opinions on video games. So just trust us in that.
And also remember, a lot of the times we can't even all agree. So we are three very
Starfield.
We are three very
distinct missing flesh.
We are distinctly different reviewers. Because we enjoy distinctly different games. There are a lot of video games that we enjoy together. There are a lot of video games that we enjoy that we all enjoy separately. But at the end of the day, we all have very different tastes in some of our games.
Yeah. Moving on to the actual review. A couple side notes. I got about 90% of the way through the game. I ran out of time to finish it today. I really tried, but I had too much adulting to do. I watched the last roughly 45 minutes of the game on YouTube. And it's the kind of game that there's not really too many like alternate choices that would have changed the thing for me. I reviewed 9 Years of Shadow, which was developed by Halberd Studios. I do believe it is their first game. They have another upcoming one. I looked up their company. They have a kind of a pretty funny TikTok channel where they're talking about, the process of them programming, showing off the new chairs they got because the old one broke and all this stuff. What does a community manager even do? And it's definitely a smaller studio. If I had to guess, 10, 20, 30 people. The game itself is published by Freedom Games, which, looking at their catalog, they have quite a few games published, a lot of indie games. And this game, 9 Years of Shadows, actually came out back in March, 27th of March this year. But I believe this particular copy was getting attention because it's now released on the Nintendo Switch, which is where I played it. Side note, we're not testing a single variable here because this was the first time I've used a Nintendo Switch. I will get to that in a little bit. But my goal here is to tell you what I liked about the game, what I didn't like, what I think the game did right, what I think the game did wrong, and who I think would like this game and should consider paying money for it. So 9 Years of Shadow bills itself as a Metroidvania. I think that is pretty honest and a good framework to keep in mind. Overall, I think this game has heart, and it's a mixed bag. and it could have been done better. But as a first game outing from this small studio, I think they put a lot of effort into it, and it shows. I have problems with it. I would not recommend it to everyone, but I think there's an audience here for this. So what is this game? This game follows the story of a young female protagonist whose land has been removed of color. There's this massive evil castle on the hill, and something happened, and shadows fell, and over these last 9 years, people have been dying. Her parents died, and all she has on her mind is going to the castle and either dying trying to solve it or figure out what's happening. The art style in the cutscenes and in the dialogue and whatnot is very anime, very Sailor Moon. And the gameplay itself just screams Game Boy Advance or even like Mega Man.
Yeah.
They have found a really nice balance of these two elements. And on top of that, the initial thing that most people are going to see that I want to praise it for is the art design and direction and art, the technical work itself is fantastic. We live in an absolute golden age of amazing pixel art. There's so many games that look good, and this deserves to be right up with all of them. You know, how do you compare these things? So many of the designs of the level and the greebling and the backgrounds and even the monsters and stuff is just fantastic, especially the boss designs. They're all over the place. You can tell they were just playing with a lot of ideas. This game has a lot of bosses. I think it's upwards of 30.
And if you don't mind, that's where I'll jump in real quick, because I only played for maybe 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Now, the Switch said that I had 0% progress when I deleted my save file for you to play.
I couldn't find progress. I played about 6-7 hours, I think. So the game, from the reviews I've read and looked at just to compare it to mine, it looks like max, like a quick run would be 5 to 6 hours. Okay. And some people were getting up to like 15. Yeah. They were taking their time with it. Yeah, given the way I played it, because so many of the boss fights were densely packed one next to another, I was playing it in like 2 to 3 boss fight stints. Mm-hmm. So I actually played it over a full week, even though my total game play time was like 7 hours. It felt like a lot more because I was kind of stretching it out.
Yeah.
So that is to be considered.
Okay. Well, just to interject real quick, my takeaway from the very short time that I did spend with it was exactly what you were saying previously. We are in an age of like insanely good pixel art.
Yeah.
And that was shown. There is effectively a couple pixel art cutscenes in just the very few first minutes of the game. All of it was incredibly well shot and animated. I was really kind of taken by the visuals as much as what was the game that you reviewed not long ago, the pixel art game, also Metroidvania.
There's been a lot of Blasphemous.
Blasphemous, yes. Yeah, you'd play through Blasphemous 2, and it very much felt that way, where like there was a considerable amount of animation in the pixel art, and really, really well done.
It's like trying to compare sunsets. Which one's your favorite?
Here's a treat for our YouTube audience. I actually beat a secret boss, and it had a back room with the Blasphemous character in it. I was like, they clearly know their inspiration.
They do, and right? In fact, when they sent me all of the review copy and stuff that I can use for the podcast, I'm sorry guys, I'm not using your logos and stuff, but when I was going through the assets they gave us, some of it was literally just like a picture of the SNES cover art for Super Metroid. They also sent me Castlevania logo. So they're obviously they don't shy away from sharing their inspiration.
Yeah.
So it definitely it really shows in the final product.
So the game itself. Like I said, it's a mixed bag. It reminds me of someone's first attempt at a big buffet, and some of the meals are overcooked, and some of them are really well done. And this is the perfect kind of example of a game that I can't give a numeric rating to, because I mean, I can help to let the fucking cows come home. The art is fantastic. Also very fantastic, thanks to the help of a couple guest composers. Some people worked, I think, on Metal Gear Solid and a few other games. The music score is really nice. It is noticeably in 432 hertz, which is slightly detuned down from standard 440 hertz tuning. I think that's really just a thing music geeks are going to pick up on. But it has a soundtrack that manages to not take over and overwhelm, but it does stand out when like certain melodies and motifs kick in. You're like, oh, this is pretty good. and it matches well with the art style and design. As far as it being a Metroidvania, what does that mean? A game like Metroid, a game like Castlevania, it's usually a side-scrolling action platformer, exploring around, going through rooms. You have a map of a massive area, and certain areas are locked based on items you need to get or abilities you need to upgrade to allow you to progress further. This game has that, but one thing it doesn't have that a lot of Metroidvanias can be argued to have is more freedom of exploration. It is honestly pretty linear. You can at any time go back and explore the areas you've been to before, and there are ways to connect some area, like overarching areas of the map, to others. But the way the game is laid out, I really didn't have any reason to go back to an area I'd already been to, other than I guess if you wanted to double check that you hadn't missed like any secrets. But that's a particular type of gamer who wants to go check every single wall that they might have missed. I just do it as I go. I whack at walls, as I go in each room, whatever. The gameplay itself opens up. You're this hero again. Some bats. I'm not going to spoil the story. But you essentially start to meet people in this castle, and some of them have problems, and you help them. And the storyline starts developing. And this is where one of the problems I have with the game is something that I didn't like. They started a lot of really good story threads and narratives and tensions, and then they don't even begin to start resolving until the last 20 minutes of the game. And when they do start resolving, it's clear that the writers and the story designers, storyboarders, all out of this game didn't have the room in the game to fully explore their story. So there becomes a lot of dangling threads, a lot of things abruptly getting resolved. Some things resolved like in, dialogue-less cutscenes, like an image. And on top of that, this game suffers from a dichotomy, a problem where they want to tell the story of the characters in the narrative, this main character, and the problems in the castle, but they also want it to be heavily influenced by music. There's like this orchestra, and the orchestra, all the members are lost at the castle, and you have to find them and help them. And a lot of like the guest composers and whatnot, like their faces are in the game because apparently this was kickstarted as some of the stretch goal stuff. So you have this tension between like it trying to be like a musically focused game, like on a thematic vibe sense, but also the storyline and narrative of the game. And there's really not a lot of interaction there.
No cohesion, really.
And on top of that, a lot of the side bosses, the optional bosses, which are fun and some of the most like interesting designed ones, they're characters out of the blue. Like you'll find a character and it's like I found this one. She's like an evil, like kind of tropey anime harpy devil woman. And
Rita Repulsa.
Yeah. And she like seems like, that one particularly didn't have a relationship with the main character, but some of them do. And they talk like they know each other. And like, you don't know them as a player. And then you beat them and then they're gone. And it's like, that had no bearing on the story. And there's like 15 of these optional bosses, two slime girls and a giant robot and a troll that throws tomatoes at you.
It's funny that you say that because like that's one of the things that I found really endearing about Shovel Knight was he like
Shovel Knight
knew all of these characters, but oftentimes there was no context for
Shovel Knight was self-aware.
Yes, 100%.
It was done from the ground up, knowing that like this is a pastiche and like a
Yes.
kind of a comedic effect. This game is trying to like bill itself as like
Serious.
a teenage age kind of anime, some kind of shonen or shoujo storyline. And it does that well for the bits it does get to do. But I could tell that like, and this has become a recurring theme, these are, to me, kind of clearly problems of novice design. Like this is their first game. They have a lot to do.
Yeah, my point there was that it can be done well, right?
Yeah, it can be done
It can
well.
be done well, and unfortunately, it sounds like they kind of missed the mark on that one.
The core upgrade system in this game is getting armors, and they look cool and they're fun and they're a big upgrade, and then they have little side powers you can upgrade. But you never really get to actively choose to upgrade them. These are things you find. It's like finding the super missiles in Metroidvania. So there's no level up system. You can spend resources to increase the power or gain more health, but I'll touch on that in a minute. So because there's no actual progression apart from finding an upgrade, what that means is that every interstitial room and every interstitial enemy between bosses is now just a time sink.
Yeah.
And that can be an okay thing. what is a room good for in a Metroidvania? Well, it's either A, there to teach you new mechanics. You just got like the double jump. Here's how to double jump. We'll give you a couple of rooms to explore that. Or here's an enemy, learn how to fight it. And now here's a different enemy in the next room, learn how to fight that. And in the third room, here's both of them together. Figure out how to fight them when you're having to deal with both of them. A lot of the rooms in this game, upwards of 50, 60% of them, felt entirely incohesive. I'd find a giant room with amazing art that was empty and felt like a boss room. And I walked through one room more than once, like waiting for an optional boss to show up. Nothing. And another room where it's like, I'm 80% of the way through the game and they throw an enemy at me, just the one that I fought in the first 10 minutes of the game. I'm like, why is this here? Because they probably needed to fill the space, right? Like their map design, they need a room here. They don't know what to put in it. And yeah. So the armors themselves, also really cool idea. 90% of what they give you is there's certain rooms you can't go into because like they're on fire or they're poisonous. So you get an armor and now you can go into the room. That's all the armor does. The graphics of your attack changes, your character looks different, your health bar gets a cool like elemental effect. There's no mechanical change.
But there's no mechanical bonus.
You have a light attack that can combo 3 hits, a heavy attack, and later on you get a like 1 or 2 more. You can like charge with the light attack to do multiple hits in a row. But you get all those within the first hour of the game and that's it. Right. Yeah. And the thing is you're also using this halberd. So your main melee attack has kind of a limited reach. You can't attack downwards.
Yeah.
And a lot of the bosses rely on that old school mechanic of they're going to move about the room a lot. Don't touch them.
Right.
Right. And because they just move wackadoodle around, like trying to balance that in the combat, it's not a fun thing. It's a frustrating thing. Right. That said, there were a lot of fun bosses, but a lot of the hard ones I just discovered, unfortunately, that the way to beat them and solve their like bullet hell patterns is you go and you just face roll into it. You smack your face into it and learn the patterns and die. And in this game, what that means is there's a 15-second loading thing and it just kicks you back to your last save. So hopefully you found a save room to save in. Sometimes you don't find a save room for a while until you get the map. And then you find, oh, well, I can just stand in this corner for half the fight and just shoot my bear laser at it, right? Or like, I'm just going to jump left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. And left. Okay, now I can hit it 3 times. So the combat is kind of whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's unfortunately like a kind of a staple of a lot of Metroidvanias that the combat ends up being that way. And it's been around for a long time. I know that you can absolutely do it better, right? It doesn't have to be that way.
I think that was kind of the standard 20, 30 years ago, but we've had so many good Metroidvanias recently that, like, again, fine for your first game, and if that was the only problem, you're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
But these things add up. Something that I don't think it wasn't done poorly or great, but as a personal opinion, is the health system is very strange. So you have a health bar that is your shield. That is also your ammo for your ranged attack.
I noticed that, yeah.
And then you have health pips. If you get damaged when your shield bar is empty, you lose a pip. Now, for the majority of the game, or for the first half of the game, at any time that you're fully out of shield, you can hold a button down, and after about 1.5 seconds, you heal 80% of your shield bar. Later on, you get the ability that the moment you hit 0 shield, it does a little quick time event, and if you stop a bar with a button press in the middle of this little colored section, you get half your shield back. What that means is during traversal of the game, you're using some of your shield to shoot people, like if you just want to quickly clear the room, or you accidentally touch like a spike trap. Well, now you have to stop. You have to shoot your gun a bunch, your teddy bear, I should say, till you run out of shield. Wait for the quick time event to be over because you don't want to restore half your shield. And then press and hold down the button to restore 80% of your shield. I was doing that every other room. That is not a fun mechanic. And what that also means for a boss fight is that if I didn't have that quick time mechanic in the way, there's multiple fight attempts I would have won. But the time it takes for me to run out of shield, like every time you do that quick time event, that bar gets smaller.
Yeah.
So you can do it 2 times reliably, but like the 3rd time, it's not worth trying. So now I just have to wait like an extra half second on top of the second and a half it takes to heal. And a lot of these bosses in particular I had trouble with, they were not designing a way to give you enough time in their combo because there's so much bullshit happening on the screen that you just cannot heal, right? On top of that, a lot of the bosses, especially the main bosses, have a pre-vulnerability phase where you have to shoot them using your teddy bear to access their vulnerability phase. So if you happen to be on your first or second attempt and you're doing well, but you get knocked down to 0 shield, instead of hurting them, you don't have to spend that time healing.
Right.
And then you have to go through the full boss cycle
phase again. Yeah.
Not the end of the world, but just this could have been designed better.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like an interesting, if I can interject real quick, it sounds like an interesting mechanic, though, having your shield be part of your ammo. It's kind of neat, but there should be like different ways to, like, you should be able to select how you get that back. Is it just the button press and hold? Good Lord.
Yeah.
Or is it the QuickTime event? And that QuickTime event, can I boost my armor to make that happen before it's completely out of juice? You know,
those other armors that you collected could have had completely different health effects.
Something I was going to get
exactly.
at.
So but again, first game. So
yeah. So these things are mildly excusable. Again, like if the different armors had given me a different attack patterns, like you don't have to give me different weapons. Don't make a new whole graphic set for different weapons, but they technically do different damage types because a lot of the enemies literally have a bright color-coded outline that if you switch to that armor color, you do more damage. And you do earn currencies that you use to upgrade your armors and your health bar. I didn't really notice a damage difference in the armors upgrading them. And what's really weird with the health ones, you have options to increase your shield bar and options to get more health pips. You start at 2 health pips. I think the max you can get through the whole game is 4, but then you can upgrade your shield a bunch of times. You have to find the blue note or the red note, like secret items as a currency to upgrade it. But you also have coins. So like the first time you upgrade your shields, it costs 2 blue notes and like 50 coins, right? Mm-hmm. You get coins from killing every enemy, from breaking every pot. I was never, ever under threat of having enough scrolls but not enough coins. I ended the game with over 1,000 coins and nothing to spend them on. Mm-hmm. Why are the coins there?
Could you have skipped the mobs?
Oh, I skip mobs all the time.
Okay.
But you get so many coins just from running around that it's like you now have each upgrade has 2 different currencies, but there's only one that really matters.
Yeah.
I feel like they wanted something to pop out of breakable crates. Mm-hmm. So you put it in there. Again, now you're just kind of throwing stuff in the game.
Boy, wouldn't that have been useful for converting into shield energy and more ammo?
Yeah. But it does allow for an interesting system where you cannot technically get truly hurt as long as you have some shield.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you take damage, it never goes like negative. You go to 0 shield and then you get a little bit of iframes. Your character gets knocked back. You fall out of whatever animation you're in. But a lot of the boss fights, they boil down to the more you damage the boss, the quicker they move. Mm-hmm. Some of them, like instead of firing 1, they fire 3 lasers, stuff like that, and that's fine. But another thing is that some of the mechanics are like a laser 80% the width of the screen and another laser vertically 80% the width of the screen.
Yeah.
And if you're not in that empty space, you take damage. So what does that mean? In that particular fight, I won't name it, I just realized, okay, when I get to that phase, just take it and then as quickly as I can press the heal button and then hope that I get that shield heal before the next thing.
Right.
So it's like now I'm just not interacting with your boss mechanic because you've made it too difficult in this particular scenario.
Yeah.
So there's little things I like, little things I don't like. As far as what I think they did wrong, I think they're a little bit too ambitious. Like this is a pretty big thing to take on where you're trying to tell a good story, which they did a decent job of, as well as make a good game, as well as make a stylized game with 30 bosses, with, all these different enemies, hundreds of rooms. So it's a lot to take on. And I believe the game was kickstarted, and I'm not sure how well that did. They clearly had some stretch goals they hit. So overall, I enjoyed my time for the most part. Personally, I think the game was somewhere between fine and good. I would struggle in kind of a weird way to recommend this to new Metroidvania players. On one hand, the mechanics are simple enough that it would be great for a newcomer. On the other hand, it's pretty janky at times. I feel kind of glad I played it when I did now because apparently on release it had a lot of actual game-breaking bugs. Mm-hmm. But those I had a few minor bugs. They were not game-breaking at all. But on the other hand, like if you like anime tropes and you're willing to play a game for those alone, if you want some really cool art, if you like Metroidvanias and you're consuming them, if you want to get into a game that is difficult at times, but not going to blow your brains out difficult, this is a good game and worth $20 on. If you are an expert at Metroidvanias, if you don't like games that have a lot of heart and not a whole lot else, if you think you want to get a game for a kid, stay away from it. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it is difficult enough that it would be really frustrating for someone under the age of like 12, 13 to be able to finish this game. I had to look up twice YouTube videos on where to go next because the game, like at times, just doesn't tell you. So overall, mixed bag. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a little bit better. I am interested to see what they come out with next.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully with maturing after their first outing, maybe they can get us another one, you know? Maybe we'll see 10 Years of Shadows.
Yeah, the story wraps up.
Yeah.
I don't, no real spoilers, but they did not leave themselves room for a sequel.
Okay.
But it does look like they have another game planned for next year, and it looked like it was a game in a fully different IP. So I'll have to take a look into that. Maybe talk about that next cast if there's any info on it.
Sure. Excellent. Well, guys, I think that just about covers it for this week. We thought it was going to be a short episode. Turns out not. So thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate y'all. Again, if you're feeling so inclined, head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@videogametango. Throw us a little a like or maybe a comment, or maybe just watch a little bit of one of the videos. That'll help tremendously. Love y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, you have anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Human Torch was denied a bank loan.